Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tom Jensen. I'm the Counselor for Press and Cultural Affairs at the U.S. Embassy and your host for tonight. The American Cultural Center comes under the U.S. Embassy banner, and we're pleased to have this great venue here and honored that you've accepted our invitation to come here for a discussion about the U.S. elections 2016 with U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Ambassador Daniel Shapiro. We're also happy to welcome you to our newly refurbished program room, auditorium here at the center, and hope that you will find your way back here frequently. We hope you'll see this as an information resource center for you, but also a place where you can enjoy programming. And I heard Felicity talking a little bit before about the program calendar that we have here at the American Center. And you can follow the activities by following the American Center's Facebook account, where we post all upcoming events. That's just go to Facebook and go into a search for American Center Jerusalem, and that should pop up with the center and all the activities that we have going on here. But we also see this as a forum for dialogue, and we're looking for ways to engage audiences here, particularly youth audiences, and so we're glad that you've come out to hear this discussion today. Today's program is actually being live streamed on the Embassy YouTube site and Facebook site. And if you want to get to that, I encourage you to go here to Israel. Move off to the side a little bit. Seems to be a 30-second delay. Anyway, U.S. Embassy, israel.usembasy.gov/election2016.html. Go ahead and get on your personal devices there and text your friends and tell them to tune into this live streaming, or just text your mom and say, I really am at the American Center. I'm not at the coffee shop or the bar today. One last note, though, as you're texting your friends and telling them about this great event this evening, please also put your ringers on mute so we don't have any interruptions during the program. Ambassador Shapiro will give a brief presentation, and then there will be plenty of time for questions and answers. So without any further ado, Ambassador Shapiro.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't even. Which one is the? Okay, we'll get to that. Welcome, everybody. It is my real pleasure to come to Jerusalem. My apologies for being a little late in the traffic. To spend some time at the American Center in Jerusalem with you to talk about the upcoming American election. If you're here, I'm guessing you share a little bit of the passion I feel for politics. I know Israelis have know something about a passion for politics. Who's here excited about the American election this year? Okay, that would bring you out. Sometimes I think people are more excited about somebody else's election than their own, and sometimes I even can sympathize with that feeling. But there's no question that there's nothing as really as important in our lives as citizens of democracies, and frequently as exciting and frequently as fun as participating in the democratic process, the literal voting process in which every citizen, no matter who they are, no matter where they live within that country, or even outside the country maybe, has the same right to express their voice and have their vote counted toward choosing their leaders. Sometimes we take it for granted, and we shouldn't. There are people all over the world who don't have that right, who don't have that ability, who don't have that voice in how they're governed. Again, while politics can be messy and we're not always happy with the results and we're not always happy with the choices our leaders make, depending on outcomes, we are really blessed, and we should always feel that blessing of those rights and freedoms, but also that responsibility to be citizens who participate, who follow the issues, who support candidates who we believe represent our views, maybe jump in and run ourselves, or in other ways participate in the electoral process, and then obviously to show up on election day and vote. So when people sort of say, well, what's all the excitement about? There's a lot to be excited about. about. I think the United States election probably is a worldwide event in many ways. And I've heard it said by people here in Israel, but by people in many other countries I've visited, that people feel a stake and that they have something riding on the outcome of an American election. It's said that David Ben-Gurion, in his meeting, I think his one meeting with President John F. Kennedy, shortly after President Kennedy was elected, in fact, I think it was between President Kennedy's election and his actual inauguration, said to President Kennedy, then President-elect Kennedy, who asked, "Is there anything I can do for you, anything I can do for Israel?" And Prime Minister Ben-Gurion said to him, "Just be a great president of the United States. That's the best thing you can do. Make your country strong, make your country succeed, and the rest of the world will benefit from that." And I guess because of the United States' global role and responsibilities, we do have what happens in our elections does affect people even outside our borders. And so I guess we have to take that into account, although in the end it's we as Americans who have to make the decision. Any American voters, any American citizens in the room, by the way? Just a couple? Okay. So you may take a special focus on this. Now, a couple of ground rules. I'm not going to make, in my current role as ambassador, I'm in a completely nonpartisan function. I have participated in elections before. I've backed candidates, including President Obama when he was running in 2008. I've worked for members of Congress, but as ambassador, I function with no partisan role at all. And so I'm not going to make any predictions about the outcome of any voting in the 2016 election. I'm not going to offer any opinions on any candidates in the current election. So if the opinions will have to come from you, but I will be willing to engage a little bit on some of the history, including my own personal history, if it helps to illustrate some of the things we're talking about. So mostly I want to really talk about the process, the technical aspects of the process, because I think for those who, maybe this audience is better familiar or more familiar with it than some, but perhaps not everybody, and maybe some who are watching on the live streaming are trying to figure out what the heck are we going through right now. It's on the news every single night. There's a debate every week. There's more candidates than we can keep track of. They're all over this large country in many different states. Why are they in these states and not in those states? And how will that unfold over the next 11 months until Election Day? So let me just briefly run through some of the facts. Obviously, we are basically a two-party system, a Republican Party and a Democratic Party. Those are the primary organizing principles of our elections. There are smaller parties who sometimes field candidates for president and occasionally in congressional races, but they are very, very small. And it's been a long time since a third-party candidate has really had sort of won a significant percentage of the vote. Although even small third-party or independent candidates can have some influence in the outcome, and I will mention that a little bit later. But obviously the two main parties are now conducting their primaries to choose their nominee, the one candidate who will represent them in the general election next November. So in the Democratic Party, we see there are three candidates currently running. Hillary's former Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, former Governor of Maryland, Martin O'Malley, and a Senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders. And they had a debate the other night, and it's the three of them. And you know, I think there's a fair amount of sort of common. There's a lot in common to their approach to politics and their approach to issues, and we didn't see a lot of significant arguing between them. A lot of agreement, frankly, on substance, although they are trying to draw some distinctions on certain issues. The Republican primary obviously is much wider open and has many more participants in it at the moment. Three candidates have already dropped out, actually. Rick Perry, the former governor of Texas, Bobby Jindal, governor of Louisiana, and Scott Walker, governor of Wisconsin. But the other candidates are in, and polling shows different results, but it seems like most of these candidates are going to stay in at least until the early voting begins in the early primary states. So former governor of Florida, Jeb Bush, Ben Carson, who's never held political office. He's a retired surgeon. Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey. Ted Cruz, senator from Texas. Carly Fiorina has also never held elective office. She